Hey, listen up. This is Coach Walker once again on another wonderful Saturday morning. Thank you all for joining us on NFL Alumni Tackle Obesity. I want to move forward and talk about our incredible guest today. I've had the pleasure of chatting with these incredible gentlemen, and they are soldiers in this battle against obesity. So I want you guys to welcome our guests, Daniel and Daud. They are the Murse Gang, Murse, Murse Gang. I want to bring them up now. Daniel and Daud, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Tackle Obesity.
We appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for having us.
This is the very last time that I will ever refer to either of you as a guest because moving forward, you guys are teammates. So welcome our new teammates, Daniel and Daud. When you have an opportunity, folks, go to the Tackle Obesity website. You will see them on there. You're able to follow them and their journey. You're able to connect with them. I highly recommend that you reach out to Daniel and Daud. They are doing some incredible things. So tell us a bit, gentlemen, about your journey with obesity and how you've seen it impact people, and just tell us your overall perspective on it.
Oh, yeah. So as you mentioned, we're nurses, so we do kind of see that the end of the road where obesity lands patients. And obviously, it's not the only disease that somebody can suffer through, but it definitely complicates and conjugates things. Even during nursing school, I thought it was really interesting that of all the risk factors of many diseases, whether it's respiratory, asthma, or some of the cardiovascular, the heart ones you mentioned, heart disease, hypertension, obesity seems to rear its head 9 times out of 10. Even over things like cigarette smoke, alcohol, obesity seems to be one of the greatest risk factors and complicators among some of these non-communicable diseases. And for it to not be labeled as a disease, or for people to have stigma against calling it what it is, it's not a shame or a judgment upon aesthetics. Look how you look and feel good in your skin. We're talking about medically, obesity is a disease, any way you look at it. So we get to see, or unfortunately, we do see where it leads to in a terminal way or in a drastic way when our patients are suffering from that, amongst other illnesses.
Right. And like Daniel works in emergency, so he sees a lot of the end of the road for these types of patients. Me being in urgent care, I also see some of them that are in the end of the road, but I also see a lot of them that are in the middle of the road that we try to give tips and try to guide them to where they can lose some of that weight and prevent these comorbidities to affect them in the future. So a lot of people don't even have the correct information or the knowledge. It's not that they don't want to do it. I've come to realize a lot of patients just don't know what they're even doing on a daily basis, what they're eating, the amount of little exercise they even get. So bringing these things to light, everyone wants to be the best version of themselves. So I think we can help a lot of people.
You gentlemen do so much in the office and in the ER, and you're dealing with people, at various phases. Unfortunately, they're all there because they have a problem. But one of the things that really stood out to me was that you guys take it to the streets and you go around and you ask people questions and you provide information to just regular old Joes on the street. So you're sort of like a guerrilla marketing tactic where you're actually on the streets talking to random people, giving information, asking questions, creating awareness. Where does that come from? Tell me about, like, how do you guys get that started?
So Murse Gang, that's what we are. So obviously Murse is male nurse combined. It's a little nickname that male nurses use. So one of our programs is called Street Medicine. So it's just street style questions where we go to random civilians, non-healthcare workers on the streets, and we're just asking them random healthcare facts, see how they answer it. A lot of times it ends up being funny to hear these answers, but we do provide that education, like, no, this is what this actually is, or no, this is the stats, this is the data. So it's nice to be able to do that personally, one-on-one, but then also when we're projecting it on social media, a lot of other people can learn from it as well. So it's a blessing through a little bit of a fun thing. So
yeah, and being able to talk to these people in the streets, it really showed me a lot of things that, like I said before, that they don't know, right? So being able to just talk to them, and I feel like now we can kind of cater towards specific topics. Before it would kind of be just general questions, right? But now I feel like we can speak to them specifically about obesity or specifically about, cardiovascular diseases, to try to help these people understand not just what the disease is, but also ways to prevent it. And these little interactions become pretty big when we realize how much it really affects these people when we talk to them. Yeah, it's been really fun to do that, and we look forward to making more of those videos for sure.
Outstanding. And Daniel, you are a proud veteran. You served in the Air Force, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you've been to boot camp, you've been in the trenches, you work obviously as a member of the service. And I understand, especially from speaking to veterans in the past, that there is a serious obesity issue within the ranks of the military. So can you talk to us about what's been your experience and what type of things have you seen, amongst our veteran population?
Yeah, so being in the Air Force, I was actually in multiple units, and every time I ended up being in a unit, whether I was transferred state to state or deployed overseas, I'd end up being a physical training leader. So you have one or two, depending on the size of your unit, that kind of helps people with their physical training assessment. So being prepared and being fit to fight is what we call it. So I was one of those leaders. It was a great opportunity for me to learn more. We had classes on that and exercise physiology, things like that. And also working with different populaces, different genders, different age groups as well, showed me more about the general aspect of health when it comes to being a fit force. Unfortunately, like you're saying, we do have our own failures right now when it comes to maintaining our fitness, which is, it's never good for anybody, right? We talked about some of those patients on the road, but it's especially detrimental to our fighting force, right? We're supposed to be sharp, we're supposed to be swords. What good is a sword that's gone dull? It's useless, right? So we're actually, when you're not making those fitness standards, when you're actually not making you're not making a successful regimen, you actually are causing a detriment to the nation because you're not able to be deployed. And when you're not deployed, you're causing the DoD as a whole about $105 billion in exercise physiology. So both people who are currently active duty, guard, reserve, and those who are retired, who the DoD is still taking care of through the VA and things like that, it's $105 billion that it's costing.
It's 105 billion with a B.
105 with a billion.
Oh my God.
With a B, yeah, B for billion, yeah. It's a pretty large number. And it even starts before you get drafted, before you sign that contract. Of the people who are in the age bracket to sign up to be drafted for the military, 71%, so vast majority, are ineligible because of their fitness standards or obesity. Wow. And then when you do make it in, maintaining it is another beast in itself, because 1 out of 5 military service members are no longer fit to fight, suffering things like obesity. So 20% of our fighting force is not able to do things like deploy, and maybe might have their job at risk. So it's quite
so
staggering.
we're literally losing soldiers to obesity. We're losing service members to obesity.
Yeah, it's a disease from within inside, right? So it's pretty astonishing when you think about that.
That's scary. And we spoke with a general actually at the Super Bowl last year in Phoenix, and you're verifying what he said. He said that obesity is a national it's a military what's the term that he used? It's a national security issue. It's the issue of national security, because he said at some point we're not going to have enough soldiers to actively staff our military as we should, based upon what the needs are. And the big contributor to that is obesity. That's a scary thought. Very, very scary thought.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. Daud, you work in urgent care.
Yes.
And so you see a vast majority of people from different, ages and different spectrums, everything ranging from, I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, I would imagine from basically from a newborn to, someone 80, 90,
Right.
100 years old or whatever, right?
Right.
Oh, what is it like when you were to say like your average day, and let's say you have 10 people. Of those 10 people, how many of those cases would you say, has some type of connection to obesity, and what's it like dealing with that all the time?
Out of those 10 people, let's say it is an age range, right? So we'll have younger in the first 5 and then older in the second 5. I would say about 50%. But if we're talking only adults, I would say about 70 to 7 out of 10 patients usually have something related to weight being an issue. A lot of what we do is kind of just helping them relieve some of the symptoms they're already having from these diseases that they have, right? And it's tough. It's a tough fight because once you're in it deep, once you're you're not where you want to be with your weight and you have a few diseases, it's harder to come back, right? You can't just a lot of patients can't just go out and just go run 2 miles. Their heart can't take it, or their lungs can't take it, right? So it's a constant battle to try to have these patients to get better, because a lot of them do often lose hope as well. Not in a way where they're just not doing anything with their life and they're depressed, but more so they just feel like they can't get back to where they used to be because of all these issues that they have, all these pills that they're taking, right? They just don't have any example, honestly. There's no real example that they can look at that shows them like somebody was in their position and they came out of it. There isn't enough examples that way. So hopefully we can make more examples to teach these. It's usually the middle age to older age. There are a few that are in their 20s, but not as much. And obviously the younger kids are the younger kids and they come in for their own reasons. But I would say about 70% of, if it's only adult patients, that obesity is related some way or another, whether it's before or after, whether it's their first disease or if it's their second, third disease, it always somehow relates. And having this, like I said, people lose hope. So having these diseases doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't. And the body is a magical machine, right? So if you train it, and if you fuel it correctly and you treat it right, and this is not just physically, spiritually, mentally, the body can heal itself, right? So a lot of people don't understand that, and so the body is a magical thing.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And I wanted to just give a shout out to Kendrick Johnson. Had a comment. Love that you guys are doing street medicine. Nice work. Thank you so much for that. He also said every human you help matters. Absolutely. Every single human. We have one person do this. We've done our job. So thank you so much for that. We did briefly touched on the youth, and we know that there is a rising issue among the young population, 18 and under, with obesity. So that being said, tell us your perspective on the youth obesity crisis that we have right now.
Yeah, so I actually work in cardiac ICU, cardiac surgery ICU. So that specific populace are patients who are receiving intervention for their hearts. And a lot of it does come from obesity, amongst other things, like we said, smoking, alcohol. And a lot of times, some of them kind of have an air of, I'm not sure how I got here, which kind of makes sense because it wasn't just one major action. It was over the course of your life, and that began as a child, right? So when you began as a child, you didn't have the proper education, you didn't have the proper lifestyle model to you, and that just grew. And when you started to make your own choices, you repeated that. And unfortunately, you're probably repeating that in your own household with your own children. So it's kind of that vicious cycle. So like Daud has been saying, it's the education that has to be done. It has to be prioritized. We talked about 1 in 4 adults globally being underfit, 1 in 4 globally not getting enough exercise. Almost 80% for children, 80% for adolescents. So basically, every child you pass on the street is not working out enough, is not getting enough moderate activity. So it should be 60 minutes a day of moderate activity, meaning your heart rate is getting above 100, right? Moderate activity, walking, biking, like you're saying, it's being replaced with some of these virtual means, video games, and hey, love technology, but it doesn't replace what we need to do for our bodies, right? And then the muscular building, the resistance that needs to be done 3 days a week, that's not being hit as well. And hearing that PE's been taken out of school systems, I mean, where are they going to learn it from? It's not being modeled in the home. They're not getting it at school. Where are we magically going to just become fit if we don't start as kids?
Right. And to add on to Daniel, it's a pattern, right? So you're saying, oh, well, we know that the kids' obesity is on the rise, but we also know that the adults' obesity is on the rise as well, right? So these kids are going to do what these parents teach them, not even teach them, because it's one thing to tell, even, for example, my own, family, my own little brother, vegetables is healthy, don't eat chips, but it's more so the example you set, right? So you can tell them don't eat chips, but if you're sitting eating chips, he's going to eat chips, right? That's number one. So it's a pattern between the adults, which are the parents, that leads into the children, which is not good. But I also want to touch on, technology is keeping these kids in the home. If we can speak on just us three here, as kids, we were outside. I already know, they're not getting the exercise they need. A lot of kids don't even involve themselves in sports anymore, right? So they want to just come home and get on their game. And I'm sure if we were kids, we would, fall into that as well. They're just children. So more than ever, we need to set more boundaries and kind of structure their life a little bit, right? So they can have a great future, a healthy future. But that starts with, the parents, as well as limiting electronics as well. I think those are very key.
So you gentlemen both touched on technology, and I agree with you. I think technology is great. We've made so many advancements in the past 20, 30 years. How can we use technology to help us in this battle? What are some things that you think we can use to make us smarter about the way that we approach our wellness through technology?
So I just want to say, we do have ways that we use technology, right? So we can scan our body. That's one example. Tells us the fats, the muscles, where it's at, everything about our body, bone density. If there's any parts of the body that's weak, it'll tell us. So that, as well as smart scales. We also have machines that we can use to exercise that have, electronics in there that are really good. There are ways that we do use electronics to help us. More ways would be maybe somehow incorporating, teaching these kids how important it is to exercise and eat well, relating to the games that they do play. So there are ways that we do get help from electronics, but there are a lot of ways that we can improve. So I would say, obviously, it would have to start with educating these children, but also, like I said, educating these parents as well, so they know what's right and wrong, and they can do a better job.
And I think touching on that, technology is just that. It's just a tool that we have, not inherently bad, not inherently good, but it can help us be more productive when it comes to fitness. It's like if you have a hammer, really great for building, but you don't pick it up and get it swinging, you're not going to build anything, right? So we have all this technology. You can Google it, you'll find 20 things. But if you're not in the mindset that I'm going to go and achieve the best fitness that I can for myself, well, all that technology will be for naught, right? So he's talking about scans and BMI, body mass indexes. The DEXA scan is known to be the gold standard. So sometimes BMI can be faulty. You can have a different makeup, or it cannot truly tell you what your exact fat percentage is when it comes to height versus weight. But the DEXA scan is a gold standard. It can tell you the density of your bones originally is what it's for, but can also see your fat content. And even the air pods or the water pods where you're being weighed and they're checking the buoyancy, because the fat percentage or fat content is lighter than bones, lighter than muscle. So you can see exactly, all right, well, I feel bigger, I look bigger, but is it because I'm also working out? Am I stronger now? And you get a more accurate control on your health. And it boils down to, everything like that I was saying is that you want to be in the know. Like I said, most of the patients that I see that are post-intervention for cardiac surgery, they have the air of, I don't even really know how I got here. And then you start asking them, okay, what does your lifestyles look like? And what are some things you're doing? What does the day look like for you? What do you intake? It's very clear to see. But because it's something that you've done habitually over time, you kind of forget that. So you have to be more cognizant of what you're doing with technology, more cognizant of what you're putting in your cupboards, what you're putting on your plate. You have to be more aware because it all accumulates.
And to add one more thing, there is one issue with DEXA scans, which is a great tool to learn about your body, by the way, but it's just not easily accessible.
Yeah.
Right. It's not cheap. It's not like any human or any civilian here can just go get one when they wake up. They just decide to get one. So in that way, I know that we can, if we really want to help these people, we can find a way to improve the technology to where it is accessible for these people to use it, right? As well as there are other electronics that do help us a lot, right? I would say Apple Watches, for example. They're very, very, very helpful, even as simple as just being able to monitor your heart rate. And it's very accurate, by the way. Just being able to monitor your heart rate is very important during regular exercise, during resting, see where your resting heart rate's at, seeing where your heart rate is when you're going through your sleep cycles, right? These are very important to your health. There are new technology added to these Apple Watches as well to be able to read your EKG, blood oxygen level,
Labs.
So, these are very important, and we are making advances. So I'm very happy about that.
Absolutely. And this is a question that does come up because one of the things, and I will testify as a former water hater, how do you incorporate proper hydration into your nutrition plan? What are some tips that you have for that?
I'll be honest, I'm also a water hater as well. So I'm not going to show the labels, but I have to, and I do my research, but I use my hydrating water, which is also flavored, has my electrolytes in it. So when I'm drinking that, I can get my water intake amount that I need easily. So for me, water is just boring, but you have to do it. You know what I mean? Fitness doesn't always feel good. You don't always feel like going to the gym. You don't always feel like eating the green foods versus a burger. But we're talking about ways that we can achieve it. So for me, it's flavoring my water. But of course, be careful because additives and things like that. But I did my research, and I'm not gonna say the brand, but they're pretty well trusted. 0 calories, 0 sugar, all that. So I chug those. And we work 12-hour shifts for nurses as well. So sometimes if you're not gonna be able to take a break and run around, carry a bigger jug. I used to carry a gallon jug of water with me. So you just got to kind of set yourself up for success. If you got to set up a reminder in your phone, do that. There's some jugs that have hourly increments. And even when we're in nursing school, if I fall behind and I'm like, it's 12 o'clock and I haven't drank any, well, I got to sit there and chug. Don't get water poisoning. Don't get water poisoning. But I got to sit there and chug and meet that increment. So there's a number of ways to kind of track your water intake and stay on par with that.
So speaking about hydration, I want to touch on 2 things, right? There's one thing to drink water and be hydrated, and there's another to have enough electrolytes for your body muscles to absorb and actually benefit from the water you're drinking. It can be as simple as just seeing the color of your pee, right? That can be a great indication on if you are really dehydrated, if your body is, moderate, or you're overdoing it a little bit, right? So you don't want it to come out pure, clear,
all the time.
Yeah, all the time, right? That could mean you are a little overhydrating. It could also mean you are flushing out some nutrients in your body, right? So you want it kind of light yellow tinted. That's the best way I would describe it. But also make sure you are getting your electrolytes, right? So after you have physical activity, that's very important. That's why people drink Gatorade, right? It's just electrolytes with water and some salt, sugar. So it's very important to get your electrolytes, like I said, to help your muscles absorb this water and these nutrients, right? So it's a balance between both. Going through your day to day, it's very important to drink water and flush your body out, so your body can, stay clean. The best way I can describe it, and as well as get your hydration by the electrolytes. Those two are very important.
All right, great. So can you talk to us about how critical it is to have coaching as a part of your wellness plan?
Right. So obviously coaching, having somebody that knows what they're talking about, number one, right? It's one thing to know what you're talking about. It's another to create a plan, right? And then it's another to have somebody keep you accountable, like you said, to be able to follow through with these plans, right? And consistency is most important. So a coach can kind of gap that barrier between a patient or just, like I said, a normal civilian. It can gap a lot of bridges, right? For them to plan, for them to have the knowledge, for them to perform the exercise. They'll have somebody there coaching them through, motivating them, controlling their weights, telling them the exercises. So coaches, personal trainers, just people, groups of people that are like-minded is very, very important when you're trying to reach a goal, right? Mm-hmm. Especially you have to sit back and kind of understand yourself and know that, are you someone that can really stay on top of these habits and these workout plans and these diets by yourself with no help? Majority of people aren't like that, and that's okay, right? So having these like-minded people can keep you accountable because you don't want to let people fail, right? So I would say coaching can help majority of the civilians that are just lacking the knowledge.
Yeah, and I think that comes into play with us men being more stubborn and hard-headed. Listen, if you're trying to accomplish anything, even outside of fitness, it is a great idea to have a mentor in your life. I have multiple mentors. So that's not an admittance of weakness. That doesn't mean that you are incapable. It means that you care about what you're doing and you want to do it properly. I've even received coaching from him. He's trained me. I've had a trainer even a year ago, and I've been, doing fitness all my life. So, but you always want to sharpen your tool set. You always want to take it to the next level. And if there's any errors in your game, you want to adjust, call an audible, and be able to progress. Right. So there's absolutely, there shouldn't be stigma with having a coach or personal trainer. It doesn't mean you're so far out of shape or beyond repair that you're now calling in emergency. No, having that personal trainer is what prevents you from having a cardiac surgeon, or what can help prevent you from having a cardiac surgeon. So if you think of it like that, it's like, why am I stopping myself from going? You can have a virtual coach. You can have even someone who's not an official trainer, a certified trainer, but you can tell someone who knows what they're doing in the gym. They know what they're doing with their lifestyle, and you can see the results as well. And just say, hey man, can I work with you sometimes? Or what do you do? And like you said, it doesn't always have to be a day-to-day battle. That's something that I learned from my personal trainer recently. That you should look more at like a week mindset, especially working shifts, right? Mm-hmm. I can't go to the gym after working 14 hours. Some people can go before. I can't. So when I'm off a couple of days a week, those are my hard hitting days. So I break it down like, did I have a good week? Did I hit, 4 to 5 days in the gym that week? And I've noticed much more success using that method. So.
You kind of fed my next question because, we have busy lifestyles. So many people working so many hours, especially nowadays, with the state of the economy and the way that we operate now. The 9 to 5 mantra, for all intents and purposes, doesn't really exist anymore. Everyone seems to have, more than that going We got families, we have businesses, we have ambitions, all these different things going on. Tell us a bit about some strategies to how and you kind of touched on some of them, how you can manage a busy lifestyle and at the same time still stay on track for wellness.
Right. So there's plenty of people out there that have a busy life, kids, family, work, business, and still are in a great shape, right? And I feel it really comes down to consistency. And let me explain this point. So people think you have to work out for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in one day, right? Oh, I'm so busy. I don't have no time. I can't go to the gym. Those are all okay. You don't need to do those things, right? It can be an hour one day, 20 minutes one day, 30 minutes another day, or it could just be 20 minutes throughout the week, right? So consistently working out and adding those little increments is going to create a big result at the end, right? So being able to time management is going to be very important when you have a family, when you have children, when you have people to look after. So you have to have your goals, and you have to figure out how in your life you can place that 20-minute to be able to do it consistently. So that's going to take a bird's eye view of your life and the priorities that you have. Anybody can add a 20-minute increment of even an at-home workout, right? And with technology, with the internet, there's plenty of workouts. You can easily just grasp 10, 15-minute, 20-minute workout. You can get online anywhere. It's out there. It's not hard for people to get this information at all. It's just a matter of, motivating them and teaching them they need to do these things.
I think what helps, like we keep echoing the being aware, which is what we have to be, is having logs, multiple logs, food logs, sleep logs, even activity logs. That'll help you be accountable. But also, as people do these things, they start to realize, you know what? Maybe I did have a free hour that day. Maybe I wasn't as completely. Listen, I get it. You've got to take care of business. You got to take care of the home life. Not saying quit your job to go be a gym rat. Not saying do that. But you'll find when you start documenting and looking at what you really do in a day and what time you spend here and there, you can squeeze in at least 60 minutes of moderate activity, right? And sometimes it's not just the addition. Sometimes it's the subtraction. Oh, well, I noticed that I'm smoking. Okay, we should remove that. I noticed 3 days out of the week when I wrote it down, I'm drinking. Well, you should remove that, right? So it's not always the addition. You're not always trying to cram into your schedule. There's things, even if you didn't add, there's things that I bet most people can find in their schedule, their food logs, their sleep logs that they can remove, take out some of these distractions, some of these inhibitors. And it really takes kind of fine-tooth combing over your lifestyle. You can do it with a coach or you can do it on your own. And some of these things will be glaringly obvious, but it should be done, right? It's something that needs to be done, especially if you're trying to make something out of your fitness life. And for me, it's kind of like that adage that girls jokingly use: if he wanted to, he would. You can't be like, oh, that's my girlfriend, I don't have time to see her. Or oh man, like I didn't get you flowers for Valentine's Day. No, if you wanted to do it, you would. If you were broke, cool, I get it, right? Go pick some flowers. If you wanted to, you would show up for her. So the same thing for your fitness, right? If you want to take care of your body, you absolutely should. So you're filling your daytime and your life with work and all these other things. I get it. They're staples. But what good is that if your body is not able to function? What good is having that valuable job if you're laid up in the hospital bed trying to recover for months on end? What good is that? So if you're not taking care of the first and foremost thing in your body, these things will suffer, not just being unable to do them, but unable to do them at a higher level. So it's not just the physical aspect of fitness that increases. It's things like memory, reduction of anxiety, more dopamine's released. You're feeling better about yourself, confidence increase. These are things that help you be more successful, right, in other aspects of your life. So it should absolutely fit in. You should absolutely find that time to fit it in, no matter what your schedule looks like.
Absolutely. This is just such incredible information that you guys are providing here. And so for all of my people that are interested in learning more about the Murse Gang or how to follow you or how to connect with you, share your details on how they can reach you.
Yeah. So primarily we do use IG. It's your IG handle. Instagram, by the way.
Instagram, yeah. So Daud_Abazov. It's mine.
How you spell it?
It's DAUD_AVAZOV.
Yeah,
that's mine. Yeah.
Mine is Fit Nurse Daniel. So fit_nurse_Daniel. And then collectively we have an IG, Murse Gang, Murse_gang. So you can DM us there and see some of our content, and we'd love to hear from you guys. So.
Okay. And if you can't find them there, you can find them on our page at tackleobesity.com. They are the newest members of Team Tackle Obesity. We're so glad to have the Murse Gang. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, this is Dick Butkus, and I'm speaking for tackleobesity.com. You know what? You having trouble with your weight like everybody does? This is a website you can go and learn something about controlling your weight. Again, it's tackleobesity.com.
Ready to take control of your health and conquer obesity? Join Tackle Obesity now. Get coached by an NFL alumni for free. Yes, you heard it right. While others pay thousands for coaching, our NFL alumni are here to support you without the cost, who knows exactly what it takes to tackle obesity. It's your time to make a change. Join now. Go to tackleobesity.com. Together, we can score a victory against obesity.
All right. Second half. Oh boy, this is the good part right here. We have been waiting on this. So my next guest, Whitney, and her husband Quenton, they both chose the medically supervised option of a surgical solution. They were both morbidly obese, and I'm not going to go into detail. We're going to talk about their story in a minute. So I'm going to bring on our special guest. I'm sorry, I'm not even going to use that word anymore. I'm going to bring on our two new teammates, Whitney and Quenton Wheeler. Thank you so much for joining us today on the NFL Alumni Tackle Obesity Show. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, we are great. And it is such an honor to be on the show here. And thank you so much for all that you do and bringing awareness to that wonderful topic. So we definitely appreciate you for allowing us to join you today.
I just have to go back to the moment where I first saw you guys on Instagram, and I'm like, my jaw hit the floor when I saw your story. Now, and you guys feel free to fill in the details here, because I'm just going off what I remember. At some point, Whitney, you got up to 540 pounds.
543 pounds was my highest weight. Yes.
543 pounds.
Correct.
And you have lost now over 300 pounds.
305 pounds so far and counting.
And Quenton, you've lost, is it close to 200 pounds now? Am I correct?
Yeah, it's been almost close to 200 pounds. My highest weight was 596, and I was pushing that 600 club, which I did not want to do.
Wow. So
as of right now, I've lost a total, I would say, of about 167 right now.
Wow. This is amazing. I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm blown away by the fact that you guys took this monster that we call obesity by the horns, and you addressed it, and you're continuing on. And beyond that, a lot of us will be, just satisfied with that. Hey, I'm feeling better. I'm doing good. No. Not the Wheelers. No. You're paying it forward. You're helping people. You're passionate. You're talking to people. You're screaming at the top of the mountain. Get there. Get healthier. Fight obesity. You are two of the most ferocious tacklers I've ever met, and I've met just about everybody you can think of in NFL history. And you guys are two of the most ferocious tacklers that I have ever seen, and I absolutely love it. So we're excited to have you on the team.
Thank you so much. And I tell people it's all about consistency and not getting caught up in your win, right? When you're on your weight loss journey, it's so easy to see progress and get stuck. You get into that celebrating state. Oh, I've lost 100 pounds. Let's reward ourselves with something to eat, right? Then you lose 200 pounds and the world want to tell you, that's it. You've done what you're supposed to do. Don't get too small. But no, it's always a constant state of becoming the best version of you. And once you get to that place where you're seeing results and you have your fruit to see, now you go and help someone else. In order to keep it, and I talk about in my book, in order to keep it, you have to give it away. So now it's time to bring the world with us on this fight against obesity.
Absolutely. And speaking of your book, I've managed to procure several copies of it, and I absolutely love it. I've been up early this morning, my coffee, just flipping through, reading. It's Walking Out of the Coffin, and that name just is so profound, and it's so real because you guys literally walked out of the coffin.
Yes.
And one of the things that you shared with me was that you had this. In your family history, you lost your mother and your grandmother to obesity. So tell me about how that drove you and how that impacted you.
Yes. So my mother and grandmother both struggled with obesity. They both passed away from congestive heart failure. And that was something that I was extremely passionate about, right? I didn't realize how impactful obesity was to your health. Sometimes we just look up and you're overweight and we try to strive to just live in that moment, and we allow fear to try to prevent us from being able to go to the next. And I do apologize. My husband had to go move the car. He was blocking someone in. But my mother and grandmother, they both struggled. I watched them fight against obesity their entire life. I watched my mother. They did Weight Watchers, Overeater Anonymous, all of these things to help fight, obesity. But I remember one of my mother friends, she was considering weight loss surgery. And my family, even though we were caught up in medical issues and struggling with obesity, they allowed the world to stop them from pursuing something that could have saved their life. I lost my mother and grandmother both in their 40s. My grandmother passed away at 48 from congestive heart failure. My mother, she was having this conversation with her friend. She was like, oh yeah, such and such getting ready to have weight loss surgery. That surgery is going to kill her. I remember these words coming out of my mother's mouth. 2 years later, after she spoke those words, we buried my mother because she allowed what could possibly happen for her hitting a weight loss table, right? She allowed all of these negative stories stop her from moving to the next version of her. So because she allowed the fear of what could happen, she was blinded by the fear of what was really going on. The reality of it is congestive heart failure will kill you. Diabetes will kill you. Hypertension will kill you. No, weight loss surgery is an option for you to save your life. So I found myself in this constant cycle of weight loss program after weight loss program, holding on to the voices of my family, telling me that we don't get weight loss surgery. But I was the only one out of those three that was able to make it. I call it the promised land, right? Sometimes we can just limit ourselves from going to that next version. And we were able to do that. So I encourage people, it doesn't matter what pursuit you have to take to get to that next version of you. It doesn't matter if you have to incorporate weight loss surgery, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, whatever you got to do. Keto Queen, don't allow anyone to distract you or discourage you from making it to that next version of you.
Amen.
I tell people all the time, and I'm so glad that you said this. I think that people, when it comes to obesity, you need to adopt what I call the Oleta Adams mindset. The famous song, "Get Here If You Can." I don't care how you get here if you can. That is the mindset that you have to have with this obesity thing, because to use a football reference, obesity itself is the head coach of team death. And until we adopt that mindset, we're going to continue to have the societal mindset that allows the deaf team to win.
Exactly. And I tell people it's all about finding the right formula for you. You can have the best architect create this design and have all of the tools, but you have to work the tools that's going to work for you. Your body is a temple. Everybody is different. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's battle is different, but this is the same war. So you have to find your place in the war. How are you going to fight this mountain against obesity? What are you going to do to get to that next version of you? Everybody don't have to have the same game plan. I tell people, it doesn't matter if you follow one of the food plans I've incorporated in my book, which my family have lost over 1,000 pounds. They didn't even have to incorporate surgery, right? They just did it from following those plans. My village on Facebook, we have lost 10,000 pounds this year as a unit in our 1,000-pound couple group, because it's not about me, right? It's not about this one area of losing weight. You have to find what works for you, and it don't happen overnight. We have spent so many years, if anyone's like me, right? I spent so many years dealing with obesity. I spent so many years battling this fight against obesity that I wasn't able, after just years of fighting, you get stuck, right? You get stuck in that pattern, but it's time to move past. You got to find what works for you, being willing to pivot to get to that next version of you, right?
We're going to start with the boss here, Whitney. What was that like? Starting on this, like, who started the journey first, and like, did you have to pull him on board? Like, tell me about that relationship in regards to like how you guys managed to start working together.
That is a great question. So my husband and I, we actually met in college, and then he ended up moving out. We met in Michigan. He moved to Missouri. When he moved, I started my weight loss journey. So I started posting. This was 2014. I started posting on Instagram, gained a following over on Instagram, did very well, lost 150 pounds. It was great. And then I ended up moving here. So in my mind, I said, all right, I'm moving to Missouri. We're going to get married. I'm going to help him get on this weight loss journey. We're going to lose this weight. But in reality, it's easier to pull somebody down than to lift them up. So I hadn't really came face to face with my challenges of obesity. I was a food addict. And instead of dealing with my issue with food, I transformed it into my journey. So now I became addicted to my journey. But the first time I was in a different environment, moving, relocating, leaving my job, moving down here with him, he introduced me back to all the old habits. I came down, he had gained. The weight I lost, he had gained, because I started off heavier than him. So we kind of flipped there. And instead of me pulling him, I started going down, down, down. So I looked up on our wedding day. I'm 5'43", he's 5'96". But when we kept trying this, we would try to get on a plan. I would be doing good. He would fall off, or I'll be on my road. And, he just wasn't into the fitness world. He didn't want to let go of that food addiction. So we built a marriage off of being food buddies. This food for us was a full-blown drug. We would wake up every day. The objective, what are we going to eat today? Wow. All of our money was going towards food. It was such a toxic environment. We would go to McDonald's and order 6-7 double cheeseburgers, right? We were drinking 3-liter sodas out the bottle. That's how bad it was. We were depressed. And so when I decided that I was going to do this for real, it wasn't until 2018 when I had that death scare. I was in a hospital, and I was one of those people. I didn't have any health issues. I didn't struggle with anything, right? But obesity rocks you to sleep slowly. If you continue to be in that coffin, it's gonna come. So 2018, I went from 0 medications to 11 medications. I didn't realize there were weight limits on hospital equipment. If you exceed that hospital weight limit, they will send you home because they can't help you. Wow. So these doctors looked me in my face, looked at my husband and I, and said, you cannot fit on the equipment We cannot properly diagnose you. My blood pressure was 268 over 190, stroke level. They sent me home with not even a blood pressure medication because my weight exceeded the hospital equipment. That's when I realized it ain't about being the fly big girl. It ain't about how cute you look. It ain't about how much makeup you have on. It don't matter if you in the baddest sorority, Zeta Phi Beta, you know what I'm saying? It did none of that mattered at that point. It didn't matter that I was married. None of that mattered because I was facing death. And when that happened, that's when I made a decision. I said, God, I know you are not a God of a second chance or another a third chance, because I lost weight before, but you are a God of another chance. And if you allow me to wake up tomorrow, I am going to not only make this change, I will share my story with the world. I made that promise. And even then, my husband, he didn't step up right away. He will watch me not eating carbs and still go by McDonald's, right? He saw that death scare, but it still didn't stir something up in him. It wasn't until I looked at him and I was getting ready to prepare for I had made a decision that I wanted to incorporate weight loss surgery after losing 120 pounds naturally. I told him, I said, I'm doing this with or without you. It was no longer because at this moment, he can't live for me and he can't die for me. So I had to make a decision. You either finna be on this thing with me or you gonna watch me from the back, because I can't allow my life to be in danger, because it's not fair for you to bury me in my 40s like my mother died, right? I'm not even 40 yet. So I had to make that conscious decision. And then how did it feel when you finally got on board with this? We got it.
Man, it felt great to actually come up on board, because again, like I said, I didn't care about my weight, to be honest with you. And no matter how big I got, I just simply didn't care, because I was, just comfortable with just being me, and just felt as though like, I'm the best version of myself no matter what size I am. But the one moment that made me really, change my mindset is I was at work, and I got up from work, got up from my desk, and I walked to the bathroom, and I was completely winded. It was like a 50 feet walk. Wow. It wasn't even a far walk. I walked to the bathroom and I got completely winded. Like, I mean, I was like holding on to the railing in the bathroom, trying to catch my breath. And I'm like, this has never happened to me before. I was always the person to be a mobile, big guy, but for me to get up and walk to the bathroom and be winded and tired, I was like, oh no, I had to change that. I had to change everything. So not only did I go ahead and jump on board, but at that moment, I used to be a smoker, immediately quit cold turkey. No patch, no anything. I stopped smoking that day. 2
packs a day, we were both doing.
Wow.
I was like, it gotta happen right now. If it don't happen right now, it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna live to see anything. You're not gonna have a future.
Wow.
So I was like, I gotta go. I gotta do it. So I took off running with her.
After being in the hospital, right?
Yeah, and I was in a hospital. I was in a hospital. And another thing is, I had a real bad case of sleep apnea. Like, I would seriously, literally be in the middle of a conversation with somebody, instantly fall asleep. Instantly fall asleep. I would be at work talking to a customer, fall asleep, because I'm not talking and not engaged, fall asleep. But I would pop back up, but it started to get to the point to where I didn't feel comfortable with the way that my life was going. So I just, I had to make that change. So I just went on and ran with her. That's just what I had to do.
And I want to highlight too, when he was in the hospital, he was 596. The hospital had to order a special bed for him, and they shipped the bed in. So you had to wait in the waiting room for 2 days while this
till the equipment arrived.
Yes.
At the hospital. And then what this was December of 2019. So hindsight, we know it was probably COVID that he was battling, but they couldn't figure out what was going on. So they wanted to do surgery to go into his heart to see what was going on. And the board of the hospital canceled his procedure about 30 minutes before. I'm sorry, they
30
were
minutes
prepping.
before I had to go in, and for them to actually, you know, go through my wrist and put a stent in my chest to see what was going on, they stopped the procedure because my weight exceeded the actual table.
Yep. They said they were so afraid that if they put him on his table, because they ordered this special table that went up to like 620 or something, but because of the equipment that was required to be in the room too, they were afraid because if anything would have happened, any type of movement, he could have died on the table. So they canceled it. So when I tell you our fight against obesity, we've had to tackle obesity. Oh, baby, we had to tackle obesity.
Yes.
And I do have a question. Yes.
Yeah, you do have a question for you, Quenton. My question is, has Mr. Wheeler had weight loss surgery?
Yes, I did have weight loss surgery along with my wife. She had hers on August 2nd of 2021. I had mine on August 30th of 2021. I got the gastric sleeve right along with her.
Yes. No, the hospital didn't charge us. They just had to order it in. It had to come from, they shipped it from somewhere. But no, it wasn't a well, the insurance probably charged.
Well, I'm sure that the you know, and no offense to our medical professionals, we're very grateful for all you guys do. I'm sure they made a little bit of money when you were in the hospital. I don't think they really went broke. Oh, that's just amazing, the journey. So tell me, Whitney, you know, you got his side where, you know, it finally took, you know, several taps on the shoulders and sometimes even a smack on the back of the head, which was, you know, you not being able to breathe as you walking towards the towards the restroom. Meanwhile, you have this struggle of I know that I'm here, my husband's not here, but you're still fighting that battle. You still love him. You're still trying to pull him on board. You know, how mentally draining was all of that? And, you know, how did you finally get to the point to where, okay, here we are, you know, here's what I'm going to do. Like, tell us about that journey.
It was very hard. I come from an old school, strong rooted family where you take care of your man, right? You feed your man. The way to the man's heart is through food. And I wanted to make sure he was happy. And his happiness was outweighing the health risks, right? So when I tell you I would get on this journey, I lose about 50 pounds, and then here come the holiday, and now I'm making all of this food, and now we're eating all of this food. I would cook like I was feeding the NFL Alumni Association. It's the two of us, but that's how I wanted to do that. But where it began to get frustrating was, here I am, because I've been, you know, giving my story since 2014, right? You know, losing weight, and people have been on my journey for quite a few years, and watching myself, you know, go up and down, up and down, up and down. That was really hard. But the hard part was every time I would get going and get like a really strong foundation, I felt like he was pulling me back. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to please him so bad. And a lot of people assume that, oh, well, maybe when you moved down there, it happened. No, I had to realize I wanted to put that blame on him, but it was me. It was me. It wasn't about him, right? He could do whatever he wanted to do, but at the end of the day, we have to make a conscious decision to make that change. So I just had to pray, and I had to get to a place where it wasn't always nagging him. I wasn't always nagging him to do it. I just wanted to encourage him, because how am I encouraging the world, but I can't encourage my husband? How am I going on Facebook helping thousands of people lose weight, but my husband came back away from the plate? We came back away from the plate. We not building a life of consistency. So I began to pray. I said, God, if I'm really called to coach people, Let me coach my husband. Show me how to start at home. This man know me for real. He know the good, the bad, and ugly for real. If I can get my husband to trust me. So I began to change my goals. And then as I began to lose the weight, you never know who's watching you. So my 3 brothers who were struggling with obesity, my brother Wenzel, he started following along. He's blogging his story. 180 pounds down, didn't even have to hit the table. Ooh. My baby brother, Terrell, down 43 pounds now, naturally, didn't have to hit the table. My middle brother got on board, and he wasn't even big. He was the football player of the family. He's down about 80 pounds. Now my stepmother's on board. Now my friends are on board. My sorors are on. Everybody, it was like a ripple effect because we gave a yes. So your yes, you don't know who is dependent on your yes. You don't know what blood is on your hands, who needs to hear your story, who's assigned to you, right? So you got to change your mind and build that consistency. And it taught me how to stay consistent. No more ups and downs, no more rewarding myself with food. We had to really crack down and just get it together, right? But yeah, that's how it's been. And we've been good.
Yeah, we've been great.
And this is another question that comes up here for many. As a mental health therapist, how do you manage to change your mindset about weight loss?
You have to tackle it every single day. I look at obesity as a giant. And the first thing you have to do is defeat your diet. In order to defeat it, you got to cut the feet off of it. So I had to cut off the things that were keeping me in that realm of obesity. I had to change some of the foods I'm eating. I couldn't hang with certain people. I had to change my environments and situations. That's how you defeat it. Now you can defeat it because once you cut the feet off of something, it falls. So now obesity is no longer this giant. It's laying down. So now how do you keep it? You have to keep hitting it over and over and over again. So there's no letting up, right? You don't have you carb cycle, but you don't have this moment where there's a finish line. You have to wake up every day and be committed to your success. Wake up every day, be committed to your journey. Get in your mind that this is no longer a diet, but this is my life. This is a lifestyle. This is how I live. That's how you wake up and you hit obesity every day, and then eventually it will die. Eventually,
you spoke so eloquently about how you impacted so many people in your family. Tell me about the approach, because you know it's awkward, especially the people that you love, the people in your family, and like because I'm using myself as an example. I approach friends that clearly needed the help, and as I'm going through my journey, I'm trying to talk to them. Hey, you need to think about doing something. Oh man, you just think you all that because you're losing weight. The instant pushback was, oh, you think you're something special because you're losing weight, or you think you're better than me. Like, how do you, in your opinion, how do you break that awkward wall of approaching someone and saying, hey, you need to do something about your weight?
For me, the first thing was not becoming the biggest person in the family anymore. That spoke volumes. See, people who struggle with obesity, long as it's someone bigger than them around, sometimes it makes them not focus on them, right? But when the biggest person in the family, start passing people, I started passing my siblings in weight, and I've been double their weight my entire life, right? That was a wake-up call, like, wait a minute, she really doing it. She's really losing the weight. So I allow my fruit to speak for me. See, I'm an atmosphere shifter, so I don't ever go in telling my story. I let my fruit speak, and then I feed you my fruit. Meaning, if you see me and I've lost X amount of weight, I'm not going to condemn you for where you are. I'm just going to keep telling my story. Like when I used to go to work, I would cook my healthy foods, right? And people would have their unhealthy meals, but I cooked my food with so much love that it would smell up the whole room. So now you got pizza, but you busy looking at my asparagus covered in bacon that's going to help me lose weight, right? So I began to create a lifestyle that people want to obtain. I create a lifestyle that's duplicatable, right? So now when people see me, wait a minute, that's a before and after picture. If God did it for her, he can do it for you too. Thank you. Let me help you do that. So I don't have to, I'm graced in this lane that I no longer have to pound obesity or this fight against obesity with anybody. I just walk strong. I let my story, I let the glory speak for himself. And if you want to obtain this glory, follow me. Come on, I got room for you on the fitness train. I tell my story every day. We tell our stories. We post those reels. We post the before and after pictures so people can see it's possible. That's how you win. That's how you get your family on board. Let people know what's possible. Do you ever fast? Yes, Pearl, absolutely. In my book, I created a 5-step plan. This is the plan where most people are losing the most weight and they have the most results. Part of that plan does incorporate fasting. I believe that I restrict myself eating certain times of the day so I can turn my body into a fat burning mode. And we can get the book and you can go over more information on that. But fasting is so important along with carb cycling. That's how you keep your body going. You don't let your body get used to what you're doing. You got to keep switching it up and keep pivoting.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Fasting has been a great part physically as well as mentally. I think you get so much mental clarity when you fast. It's amazing what it does for you. And it's a great plateau breaker. You know, sometimes when I'm struggling, all right, we'll do a fast, and then boom, you see the results continue on
instantly. Yes.
So this is being just an incredible journey. You guys are still in the process, because you can always have someone that says, well, okay, don't you think you lost enough weight, or you look good like that? How do you respond to that?
I tell people, you're only saying that because you're comparing me to my old version of me. See, a lot of times when you come from a 543-pound version, the world automatically remembers you in that version. So losing 200 pounds was phenomenal, right? And that was a celebratory moment. However, I was still 350 pounds. So it was hard for people. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? Then I got to 250. Oh, well, you look good. I said, yeah, I look good. But in reality, some people get started at 250 pounds, right? So you're comparing me. You want to keep me in this box of 500 pounds, which, yes, 543 to 250 is amazing, right? However, this new version of me, I'm going to go for 199, a goal that I never even seen possible or obtainable. But that is now my new goal because I'm no longer comparing myself to the old version of me. So I don't allow people to box me. I don't allow people to box you. Don't allow people to put you and tell you your journey has to look a certain way. No, they're comparing you to that old version. That old version is dead. We walked out of the coffin. We closed that coffin, right? So now that level of measurement is based off of your right now. What do you need to see right now? How do your right now look? And now let's make a game plan to obtain that next version, but I would not be boxed.
Absolutely. To quote the great Tom Brady, when they asked him which one of his championships was his favorite, you know what he said? The next one.
That's right. I love that.
That's the mindset that we all have to adopt when it comes to pursuing wellness. What's your favorite? What is your goal? Is to continue to be successful at this journey. I'm not happy where I am now. I'm happy with where I'm going. And when I get there, I'm gonna be happy where I'm going after that.
Exactly. And right now, like I said, my real goal is to work with children. So my husband, he's been working with like youth in the area, like people that's on, because my husband was a football player, right, in high school and stuff. So he's going back. Our church, we're a part of Eagle Heights Worship Center. We have our academy.
Yeah. With Eagle Heights Worship Center, the church that we go to that we love and hold dear to our hearts,
yes,
they actually work with Convoy of Hope by spreading, groceries for underprivileged, families that doesn't have the money to buy groceries. We get out backpacks for kids that need backpacks for school that's fully equipped with everything that they would need for their classes. And not only, with the bonding with the Convoy of Hope, we actually work with 3 different countries in Africa to help feed them, as well as we spread our spiritual journey with them so that they can follow along with us. And
we have the Eagle Heights Academy. That's what's really our biggest thing right now.
Which is actually a nonprofit private school that helps children in between the ages of 3 and 13, that doesn't go to public school, that's, dealing with ADHD or PTSD or mild autism, or even that's being bullied and just,
bullying,
that, that they just can't, basically be able to stick up for themselves like that in that type of manner. We try to build confidence in them. And the kids that do go to that academy have excelled beyond measures from being in that public school. So they are actually excelling in this program versus being able to excel in, the public schools. And if you want to find out more about it, all you got to do is go to eaglezone.org and just look it up, see how you like it. Because like I said before, it is a nonprofit organization that we are. And, so we take all donations and everything like that to be able to help fund the school. And that's our main focus right now. But me personally, I actually help out a few different kids, trying to help them prepare to get a little bit more strength training, as well as with, build a lot more confidence in themselves, as well as with, I try to help out and give them a lot of confidence just to help them, move along in their life as well.
So we usually go every Saturday. We take the kids to the gym. So he'd have a group with them. So we work out with them. And it's just so important because we know that when you're struggling with obesity, that bullying in the school, that's a lot, right? So we really want to just give back. And I have one of the clients I'm working with, his name is Ashton in Saginaw, Michigan. He's lost like 50 pounds, right? 13 years old. So we are really wanting to go back because I remember what it's like being that overweight child. And when I was in first grade, I weighed 131 pounds in first grade. So that's something that's really our focus. So people, with the kiddos, we are looking to work with kids because that's so important. It's so important to our heart to help, children that's struggling with obesity. That's
what do you say to parents that has an obese child and they're trying to figure out, how to support their child and how to, address their child's obesity?
Small changes makes big goals. I tell all the parents that I work with directly, what I do is create food lists. I always start off with, what's your child's favorite foods and snacks? So I get a list of all of the food and snacks, and then I provide them with food options to still give them those flavors and stuff, but just in a healthier way. And that's been very successful, right? Just cutting out the carbs, getting them into protein, teaching the parents how to meal prep, right? McDonald's can't be the go-to all the time, but also helping the parents to build that communication gap with the child, because bullying and stuff is very high. But I talk about in my book the impact my grandmother gave to me. She told me every day I was beautiful. She instilled so much confidence in me that even me growing up, when I had the bullying and stuff, I just thought they were jealous, right? There's not enough parents pouring that positivity into young girls and young men to just let them know, even if you are overweight, that's not the end of the world. Let's work through it, but really promoting the health part with it.
Absolutely. Well, Quenton, you mentioned that you work with underprivileged children in areas that may have some financial challenges. So if I am in and I grew up from the hood, man. So I speak from
me too.
For sure.
Well, how do you address someone when the finances come up as a reason for not eating healthy?
Well, when they come up, it's probably if it's a financial issue, I let them know, like, you can go pick an apple from an apple tree for free. Just you can honestly go to a shop and basically, there's a lot of different meal substitutes that you can actually get that's for lower prices. You don't necessarily have to always buy the junk food that's at 50 cents for a bag of chips, or like $1 for, a candy bar or something like that. You can take that $1 and, you can go to a farmer's market store and get like a bushel of strawberries, or something like a couple bananas, or, like an orange, because fruits are just like snacks, but, they're more healthier. You still get the sugar intake. You still be able to, be hyper off of the fruits. Honestly, and to me, they taste better. There's no preservative. It's all natural. So, I mean, I try to tell, the kids, hey, make a smart choice when you actually want to go out and, buy food. Like I said before, you don't have to always spend your money on candy. Use it and save it up to be able to go, you know, you can buy something healthy. You know, if you feel as though that you need to maybe, I would say, if you don't want to buy a soda, go buy something like a bottle of water and take that $1 and go buy 10 packs of Crystal Light or the non-sugar packets that you can put in the water, shake it up, and it tastes just like a regular Kool-Aid juice.
Right.
You know,
and we do offer those.
My fruit punch right here. My Hawaiian punch.
See,
Right
yeah,
Exactly.
Keep them on. Locked and loaded, 5 calories.
The parents those resources like we have at the, you know, the different resources we have, because we get it. Sometimes those financial burdens. So when we take the kids to the gym with us, we make sure all of those fees are covered. And we do try to, we're big givers. So we try to give back as much as we can. So when parents do reach out and it is a concern, we do. Like we'd take a child to go get their hair done. We'd take a child to go buy a couple outfits and stuff. I know we can't impact everyone, but if we can start with one, the right impact would definitely be leave that long lasting effect. Right. So,
and that's such an amazing impact that you guys have, because it's tied hands in hand with financial literacy. If you have the money to spend on fast food, you have money to spend on good food. Information is critical, but you combine that with the motivation and or another critical thing that, and you guys are also doing this, and you can kind of tell me about this. How important is it to have a coach?
Having a coach is actually is a great thing, to be honest with you, in my mind, because a coach is going to always hold you accountable. A coach ain't going to be your friend. A coach is going to tell you the truth no matter what happens. And he's going to he or she are going to motivate you to be able to be a better person, no matter how mad you get at them, no matter how much you want to maybe yell and curse them out. They're going to still be the same person. They're going to come back the next day. You ready to work harder than what you did yesterday? And you ain't going to have no choice but to respect them and continuously do what you do with them.
Exactly. I actually have a coach and a mentor, and both of them are so important. It's such an important part of your journey. A coach holds you accountable, and you want to find you a coach that has already accomplished what you want to accomplish. So they're able to see things that you're not able to see. If you get you a coach that have already walked the path, so your path can be easier. So get you someone that can speak life into you, someone that can guide you, someone that has a system that's going to work for you, right? So having a coach and a mentor more so helps me with mindset and that spiritual walk. And then my coach, of course, not just a weight loss coach, but just an overall business coach, business experience. So if that's something that you have been hesitant about, invest in yourself. It's a seed. I know coaches aren't free, but when you sow a seed, you can expect a harvest, right? Sow a seed, get you a coach, and I promise you it'll be life-changing.
Thank you again to the Wheelers. We look forward to more with you guys, and continue to have a happy and healthy day. And just remember, continue to tackling obesity. Have a great day, everyone.
Hi, this is Dick Butkus, and I'm speaking for TackleObesity.com. You know what? You having trouble with your weight like everybody does? This is a website you can go and learn something about controlling your weight. Again, it's TackleObesity.com.
Ready to take control of your health and conquer obesity? Join Tackle Obesity now. Get coached by an NFL alumni for free. Yes, you heard it right. While others pay thousands for coaching, our NFL alumni are here to support you without the cost, who knows exactly what it takes to tackle obesity. It's your time to make a change. Join now. Go to TackleObesity.com. Together, we can score a victory against obesity.
We are at it again on another beautiful Saturday. We're going to bring them on right now, and they can be found on Instagram at Foodies Stay Fit. So at Foodies Stay Fit. So it's a pleasure to welcome Kevin Valeria to the show today. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Great. Welcome to the Tackle Obesity Show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just want to start off by talking about your incredible journey to wellness. So can you just start off by telling our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. back in 2021, I was roughly around 260, 270 pounds. And, it came on slowly. I was in law enforcement, and, prior to being in law enforcement, I was also heavy. And I decided, I was in construction. So I was like, I need to make a change. So I started losing weight, and I did it the quick and easy way. I did it the quick and, the fast way of basically starving yourself and eating, the salads every day, and, not knowing anything about nutrition. So I had a quick fix. I lost a lot of weight real quick. I got into the academy, became a police officer, and then work happens. You start working the long hours. You start sitting in your vehicle for a long time. You get the freedom of driving and stopping anywhere you like to eat, and you're sitting in the car eating. And little by little, you don't realize that you're putting on the weight. Couple years go by, and I'm like, man, my uniform is starting to feel a little bit tighter. The clothing isn't fitting. The vest I got to go a bigger size on the vest because it's not fitting me. You start feeling, miserable. You start feeling like you're tired all the time. And being in law enforcement, it's extremely critical to, be in the best shape that you could possibly be to help everybody, that needs you, that asks for the help or whatever the case may be. So, it was something that really impacted me because, your fellow officers see you, the public sees you. And, if you're in trouble and you see this overweight cop, asking for help, you're asking for help, and they see you coming in, they're going to be like, can this guy even handle, what I need or whatever it is, so that's, and it's a bad look, it's a bad image, you're representing the agency that you work for and everything. So it was definitely something that I had to change in myself, and in 2021, I started it in June, and, it started out slowly. It wasn't anything. I tried doing the way I did it before, and I realized that, this didn't work last time. Let me try to make it different. So I started just, watching videos. I started reading articles, and I'm like, okay, let me try to do it this way. And, little by little, you start to see a change. You start working out, you start eating, you still try to eat healthy, but not to the point where you're starving yourself. So, and that's where I started to learn, like, oh, right, the weight is coming off. I'm feeling good. I'm not hungry all the time. So that was one of the biggest things for me, was just, I wanted to do it the right way. I wanted this to be a long-term, I don't want to call it a diet, because it shouldn't be a diet. This is a lifestyle that we have created, and the correct way, not the stigma of eating, salads every day and starving yourself, and, not enjoying the foods that you like, here and there. So that was that was mainly the biggest thing for us, was trying to do it the correct way. And, it took me 2 years. In about 2 years or so, I lost over 100 pounds, and, I've kept it off. I've enjoyed myself. We've had our moments where, we're like, all right, let's go on vacation, and, and let's eat. But then your mindset changes. Your mindset is different from before, to where you're still motivated and you're still in it to work out, even though you still had those, I don't want to call it a setback, because it's not a setback. You're enjoying food. You're still living, your life. So I think that's the most important thing, is you're on a diet and you're creating this lifestyle for you, but at the same time, you're also enjoying the foods that you like in moderation.
Let's talk to you about you, Valeria. Tell us about your story.
So, about 9 months into his journey, I started, seeing firsthand his changes, his progress, his dedication, his motivation. So that it was like a switch for me that turned on, and I said, okay, I'm watching him. It's my turn. We have 3 kids together. At the time, I had a 6-month-old girl who was my 3rd child. So, you know, as a mom, we all know postpartum, you're not feeling your best. And I'm sure many moms can relate to me with that. So I said, you know what, I need to do something about it. My kids are now watching their dad, you know, take a step for his health, do better. So what am I doing? I want them to be proud of their mom also, and make this the whole, you know, of both of us. So I started working out. I did it at home because I didn't have the time to go to the gym. I had a baby plus my 2 other kids. So we started building a home gym in our basement. We bought some fitness equipment. So I started following YouTube videos and some programs on YouTube, and we also worked out together. Sometimes I did it on my own. Mostly, I did it on my own because he would have to go to work. And together, we have been able to lose over 120 pounds.
Wow.
Then a few months after that, Kevin said, well, we had already had a routine of cooking healthy food, meal prepping. We had it going already for a few months. And Kevin said, you know what, why don't you record yourself and create this account and on Instagram and show people what you do. And I said, I double guessed. I was like, I'm not sure, people are not going to want to watch. They don't care about us. It's just another family, And I was like, but you know what? Let me give it a try. So I actually started posting on January of last year, 2023. And I started posting, recipes, all the foods that we have incorporated in our life that had made a change, that have helped us lose the weight. But also trying to teach people that, like you said, this is not a diet, and this is something that is going to be a lifestyle forever. So you don't want to make it boring. You want to make food interesting. You want to add flavor to it.
Yes.
So we started doing just that. And we just turned 1-year anniversary on both accounts, TikTok and Instagram, January 14th. And we've reached over 8 million people. So we've been so blessed and just thankful, to have that platform. And I cannot believe, still to this day, I can't believe that it has grown to that extent. And our goal is to motivate families that are just like us. He works long hours. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 3 kids, 2 under 5. And it can get very, very busy, very hectic. But there's also time to make for yourself. It's good to incorporate that in your routine. So we said with this account, we want to motivate families. We want to reach out to families and help them and show them that they can also get it done, just like we did.
Tell us about some of the challenges that you guys faced on your journey to overcoming your weight problems.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the challenges is, like you said before, you're still going to have the cravings. You're still going to want to eat the foods that you enjoy. So, a lot of the setbacks, especially in the beginning, when you're losing, when you're trying to eat healthy, you're going to have those moments where you're going to be like, man, I really want ice cream, or I really want or whatever it is, whatever food makes you happy, whatever food it is of your choosing, it gets to a point where it almost eats you inside, because that's all you're thinking about. You'll eat your food, be full, but then it's like, man, I still see that Oreo over there. I still want to eat it. So that was one of the biggest challenges for us, because, we're foodies. We enjoy eating, that is our biggest thing, since we've been together, we love traveling just to eat, that's just what we do. So, in the beginning, we would have these setbacks to where, okay, we'd go, 2 or 3 months of eating right, eating, nothing, not eating those happy foods like we call it. So we had moments of weakness, where we have 3 kids, so we have to buy these foods for them. We buy the snacks for them and all this stuff. So it gets to a point where I'm like, the temptation is real. The temptation, sometimes it wins, and it's okay, because we came to understanding that, like, if we eat an Oreo or whatever food that we eat, that's not gonna really set you back anything. That's not it's not going to kill your diet. It's not going to kill, you know, the progress that you made. So that's, yeah, it's all in moderation. So we've learned to eat the foods that eat the recipes that we make. And then on top of that, we'll have our little quote unquote cheat meal or cheat day, and eat those foods that we enjoy, because it's all about moderation. Like I said, it's all, you know, you can incorporate all those foods that you enjoy while you're still living that healthy lifestyle. And we learn to, you know, accept that.
I think another challenge is also managing time.
Yeah.
With kids and work and, you know, everything, all of that, it's very hard. It can be hard. But if you set yourself for success, for example, we love to meal prep. That's our thing. Mostly all of our recipes on our Instagram is meal prepping. So you're dedicating one day to meal prepping. You're setting up for success for that entire week. So that's already going to help you with time managing during the week. You don't have to worry about dinner.
Meal prep DIY taco kits. You're going to start by slicing a yellow onion, adding.
We focus on, you know, time management is definitely a challenge, but it can be overcome, and you can make it happen. Also losing motivation, I think, is another challenge that we've had, you know, especially again, the three kids, the family, busy life. You can lose motivation very quickly.
Yeah. Especially with, you know, with me, the long hours, you know, I can go, you know, a whole week of working 12 hours every single day, and you come home, you go to sleep, and who wants to wake up early to go work out? You know, you set your alarm and you wake up and you're like, oh man, I don't feel like doing it today, you know? And then you do it one day, and then you're like, man, all right, the next day I work another 12-hour shift. And then you go on a 3 or 4 day to where you don't work out or you don't do anything. And little by little, you start losing your focus. You start losing that motivation and that drive that you had, and, you know, and you have that setback. But then for me, I know for me, yeah, you know, that's part of the journey. But I know for me, you know, it came to a point where I was like, no, I'm not going to let this, you know, hinder me. I'm not going to let this, you know, basically stop me from, you know, my goals. So there's a lot of challenges and sacrifices that you got to make in order to keep going. And it comes with time, you know, it comes with time. It's not easy. There's gonna be days where you just don't feel like doing anything, and it's okay. You know, just take that day, get a mental break, you know, and then start strong the next day.
How critical was it for you to have, you know, some sort of support or coaching?
So it's extremely critical, I would say, to have that support. Like I said, you know, outside of each other, I would say watching the YouTube videos, watching these fitness programs, even though the person was behind a screen, but just having that person there to push you, to give you guidance on a specific program, I think that's, you know, extremely critical, and it's necessary. Also, you know, they motivate you, even like I said, even though they're behind a screen. Come on, let's do it, let's get it done. You know, it's all motivation. So it's, to me, that's like, you know, you need that. You need to have that someone there, you know, pushing you. Also, friends and coworkers for us have been a great motivation, a great support. You know, every time they see us, they're like, wow, you guys look great. You know, that in itself is a great support, you know. So I think it's extremely critical for sure.
Yeah. I mean, our families, you know, even though we live far away from them, so, you know, we don't get to see them often. So when they do see us, you know, a couple months later or whatever the case may be, you know, having, you know, just seeing their face light up when they see you, you know, you're lighter, or, you know, the way you look, the way you portray yourself because you feel better about yourself, you know, it's that support is just so important, you know, because it's like, it just clicks in your head, you know, like, man, this is really working, you know, people are noticing, you know, and then like, it gives you that extra boost to keep going. I know for me specifically, you know, in my job, you know, there could be times where I don't see certain coworkers for long periods of time, months can go by and I don't see them. And then you see them and they're like, dude, what are you like? What did you do? You look great. Like, how can I do it? So, and then they start following our page and start seeing what we did. And that is just so motivating. And it's such a great support, for me, just to hear that, it's just so uplifting and, it's great. It's extremely, extremely important to just have that person, not even just not her, the kids, supporting you, you need that. It's very critical.
Absolutely. Kev, you kind of touched on, your coworkers, being sort of a source of inspiration for you, as a police officer, can you talk to us about like how critical it is managing your way to your career? Like, what are some of the challenges that, you face when you gain that weight as an officer?
Yeah, of course. I mentioned it before with like the first and foremost for me was the uniform, little by little, your uniform starts to get a little tighter. And I'm like, oh man, what's going on here? So that was one of the biggest things for me is the way I look, the way I feel in the uniform is like, I didn't feel right. I didn't feel good. I didn't look good. I didn't want to, basically, I didn't even want to get it out of my car and do anything. And it's bad. It's not a good look. It's not good for the community, for anywhere you are. So for me, it was really hard. There was moments of weakness. There was moments of anxiety, of depression, where I would go to work and I wouldn't even want to be there because I didn't want to be seen. And you're the public eye, everybody looks at you. Everybody sees you. You can, and especially when I'm getting in and bar, it becomes difficult. And I was 270 pounds. So we do quarterly, shoot our guns every quarter to stay qualified. And people don't realize, with being so overweight, just the little movement of you trying to take your weapon out or change your magazine, get on your knees, it becomes really difficult, especially when it's a timed event, and you're failing because you can't even get up from the ground because you're so heavy, or you can't take your weapon out because your stomach's, because you're just big, your stomach's in the way, or I've had those challenges, and it's embarrassing, because there's people looking at you, the instructors are looking at you, everybody's looking at you, and it's embarrassing. So that was one of the biggest things for me. I would wake up in the morning and not even want to go to work or put on the uniform. And I knew I had to make a change, but it just became really difficult because of the long hours, and then coming home and, deal with the kids and feeding the kids and, just life happening. So being in law enforcement and being the public, being in the public view, it was an eye opener for me. It was an eye opener, especially there's multiple jobs in the law enforcement community, in our agency. There's other things that I can branch out into, and I couldn't do any of it because I was so overweight, and I couldn't.
It actually limited your career to something.
Yeah, exactly. It was limited. I was very limited. I was limited to sitting down in one spot. Things that I wanted to do, I couldn't because I couldn't, pass the test. So that was the biggest thing. That was one of the biggest challenges for me, and that's why I made that decision to start focusing on myself and getting healthier, getting better, and basically living better.
Wow. We have a question here from it's me, Krista. My partner is a bit overweight. I am thinking of menus I can prepare for him to help in his weight management. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, so if you go on our page at Foodies Stay Fit on TikTok or Instagram, I post weekly meal preps. That's mainly what I focus on. And I also post a bunch of healthy recipes, some even easy ones, some a little bit, in mid intermediate. But almost every day I'm posting new things of recipes that have worked for us. Things that we have tried and we're like, okay, this tastes amazing. It's worked for us over time. So let me share it. So definitely check us out because there's a lot of good ones that I have out there. And most of them are easy because, as a mom of 3, I don't have time to, have a full, menu or something hard. No, I don't have the time. So I have to make easy recipes that can be done by everyone, and you don't have to be a chef. You don't have to be an expert at cooking because I never went to school for that or anything. I just did it on my own. So you can too. So definitely check us out on our platforms.
Want to talk to you, Valerie, about being a busy mom.
Right. So my biggest thing for me is time management. I found that I needed to set a routine that worked for me, and not everyone's routine is going to be the same. So I said to myself, I need to plan my day. So I went out and bought a calendar, and that's what I do every day. Sometimes I do a week worth. So I go out, I plan my full day. In time slots, this is what I'm going to do from this time to this time. I dedicate the time to my kids when they need it. When they're napping or they're in school, that's when I take at least 30 minutes a day for self-care, meaning, my workouts, whatever I need to do for myself, because it is so important as a mom to take time for yourself because you are just as important as the rest. And sometimes moms, we want to do everything for everyone else and we don't look back and, okay, what about us? No, we need to take time for ourselves. So I always try to incorporate at least 30 minutes a day to work out. And that's where I found that's my outlet, working out. That's where I found that I was able to release all my stress and, everything that came with it. I set up a routine that works for me. Some days I wake up earlier than my kids to work out. Other days when they go to bed, that's my time to work out. Or like I said, if they're in school napping, that's, my time. So definitely time management is a huge one. Definitely also involving the kids in some activities. There's days where they don't have to go to school. So you know what? The 30 minutes that I'm going to work out, bring them, have them be part of it. We've also done that a lot during the summer days outside. We'll go out on a walk with them or we'll do some kind of physical activity outside that involves the kids. So it makes it a little bit easier. And, and just the thought of them watching you, them, learning that from you, it feels great. It feels amazing. So, yeah, so I think that's definitely a way to do it. Don't get me wrong. There's days that are extremely hard. There's days where I wake up and one of my kids is sick, so I can't take 30 minutes that day, and it's totally fine. The next day, you'll just, start all over again. It's totally okay to have a setback as a mom. It's just life throws things at you daily that you're not expecting. But yeah, that's definitely how I do it.
You touched on something very critical here because especially with our young folks lead by example. And you guys are setting an amazing example for your children because the unspoken crisis that we have in America right now is the youth obesity epidemic. Right now, statistically speaking, about 40% of our children are either in a state of being overweight or obese. Our military and police have the same problem. Kev, can you speak on that, please?
Yeah, I mean, in my agency, speaking for, and from experience from my own agency, there's a lot of people that were in my shoes that are still in my shoes, back when I was 270. And, our jobs, it's almost like it's almost like all the employers are almost accommodating and, trying to change with the times of the obesity, like you said, where they got to make the cockpits bigger. That's happening all over where, like I mentioned before with the PT test, we got to take it every 3 months. And it's gotten to the point with us where they don't even have to, there's certain, like people and stuff like that don't even need to take the PT test, because if you look at agencies worldwide, if you make these officers or military take a PT test, we would probably lose more than 50% of our workers, of our co-workers, because they can't pass the test.
Wow.
And that's everywhere. You look at every agency out there, there are so many obese officers, military, and then you look at the high ranks. The high ranks are no different. They're the same thing. They are also obese. So what kind of example are they setting? If you want your fellow officers, that are under you, if you want to set that example, you got to lead by example, So when you see a higher up that can't fit in their uniform, and then they're telling you, oh, you got to go take a PT test, knowing well that they can't pass it, it's like, come on, why should I listen to you? Yeah, obviously I'm going to listen to you because you're my superior, but what motivation or what drive is that going to want me to do it? Like, nothing happened to you and you're obese, so why should I worry about it? Right. You're not going to get fired, so why should I care? So that's the problem that a lot of these agencies are having, including, our agency. It's extremely, it's hard. It's difficult. I get it that, right now times are tough, with everything going on in the world, and people have their own comments and everything about what's happening. Us officers, like, there's times where, not that you're scared, but you're going to think twice about stepping into, a certain place, even out of uniform. You don't feel right. It's like, I don't know.
Safety.
Yeah. I mean, the safety aspect of it, like, there's so much going on right now in the world that there's people that they don't care about the way they look. They don't care about how they how they feel. They just rather sit in their vehicles, eat their food in their vehicles, not help the public of whatever. I've seen it firsthand where people just drive by and not want to deal with it because they don't fit, like they don't feel like they can handle it for whatever it is. If they see somebody, running, they're not going to get out. I mean, it's sad to say, but they're not going to get out and do it because they know they're not going to keep up. They're going to look, embarrassed, basically, because people are going to be looking at them and not be able to catch up or stay. Basically, you're going to lose your energy and just kind of fall out. So it's something that needs to change. And I pray and I hope that, my fellow officers see the changes that I've made, and then they can make the same changes and motivate them to do it. And even people that are listening, to do, this is for your health. This isn't for anybody else but yourself. It's very important.
So talk to us about hydration and, like, how do you hydrate? What do you drink? And, like, how important is hydration?
Yeah. I mean, I've always drank a lot of water. That's something that I've always done it. So I didn't really have to change much on my drinking habits because water was always incorporated on my daily, life. The only thing that really has changed is the amount that I drink. I drink so much water. I mean, I'm drinking over maybe 110 ounces of water or so. I go through water like crazy here. Yes, I'm constantly in the bathroom, but at the same time, that's good because you're flushing out all the toxins and all that stuff through your system. So hydration for us is extremely important. I know for me, one of the changes that I've made was when I'm eating dinner or when I'm eating whatever food, I would tell myself, okay, with every, it's crazy because I don't know why I do this, but it's just me. For every 3 or 4 bites, I'm going to take a sip of water. And it's crazy because I got so full from eating and the water. Like I was so full for hours just because I was just drinking more water, you know, with my dinner. So hydrating with water is so important. Another change that I made was I would buy these, what are they? Like carbonated drinks, like carbonated waters, like flavored water drinks.
Like the 0 calories filter.
Yeah. 0 calorie drinks. That was one of the things that I did because, you know, time to time you want to enjoy, you know, a sweet drink, a carbonated drink, you know, a soda. So this was a good substitution for that. You know, I would buy, you know, a whole bunch of carbonated 0 calorie drinks. And it took that craving away from that, you know, wanting to drink something different other than water. So just making that little change in those drinks.
Yeah, and drinking water is also essential for physical performance. So you don't want to be dehydrated. That's one thing. Oh, that feeling is probably the worst.
Yeah.
So just drinking enough water is going to give you the energy. It's going to help you to, you know, to feel better that day.
Yeah.
And it's also great for your skin, for the ladies.
Absolutely. So we talked about failure. I've been ranting about the statistics involved with people failing on their New Year's resolutions. And there are people that along the way who start and end, you know, journeys, but for one reason or another at interval points throughout the year. So what are some of the most common reasons why you think that people fail, and how can we avoid that?
I think, some of the most common ones are depriving yourself from foods. In the very beginning, when we didn't know much of what we were doing, we just know that, you know, we wanted to lose the weight, shed the pounds. That's all you're focused on. And you're like, okay, today I'm only going to eat certain foods, and depriving yourself from foods because you want to, you know, just lose the weight fast. And I think that's one thing that's, you know, not good, not okay. You definitely need to eat. Your body needs it. So I think that's something that can set people up for failure, you know, eating like that.
Basically, yeah. I mean, and also like, you know, everything now, the diet industry and the supplement industry is so massive, you know, that people, you know, they see a commercial of, oh, take this pill and shed 30 pounds and, you know, whatever time it is. But people don't, you know, realize that like maybe those things might help, but you got to put the work in, you know, so you got to go work out. You have to put that time in, you know, you don't read the little letters on the bottom, you know, that say it includes an hour of working out every day with the pills. And then at the end of the day, the pills aren't really doing anything because you're the one putting in the work. So the people fail, you know, by thinking that a pill is going to resolve the issue and you can eat whatever you want and not do anything. And this little pill is going to help, you know,
or not eating
enough. You know, people think, oh, all right, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to not eat. I'm going to lose 30 pounds in a month by starving myself, basically, you know, and a good example of it is, if my mom's listening, is my mom, you know, you know, she, after like a year or so, she saw that I was losing weight. She's like, man, how'd you do it? You know, like, what can I do? So I'm like, all right, let's make a plan and I can show you everything, how I did it. And let's see if it works for you. So she started doing what I told her. She started eating right. Kinda. She started working out every day and she lost a lot of weight. And I told her, I'm like, Ma, you're doing really good. Like, you're losing weight. And then little did I know is that then she was basically starving herself. She's like, I'm like, oh, Ma, what did you eat today? Oh, you know, I just had an apple and a yogurt this morning and I haven't eaten and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, Ma, you don't realize that you are depriving yourself. You know, your body needs the nutrients. Right now, your body's eating itself, you know? So, and then the reason why I say, you know, I hope she's not listening, or is listening, is because, you know, it's been like 2 months or 3 months where she had life happened. She has a setback. She stops working out, you know, for a couple days, and a couple days turns into a couple weeks, and then it turns into a couple months, that she gained everything back and then some, you know, because it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, she was depriving herself of the food, and starving herself. And after I found out that that's what she was doing, I'm like, you cannot be doing this. You need to eat. So when she would come over on the times that she would, you know, I would forcefully feed her food, you know, so that she's like, oh no, this is too much. I can't eat this much. I'm like, Ma, you don't realize that when you're eating healthy, you know, when you're eating what you're supposed to eat, you can eat more than than the other foods that you're eating, you know, because if you put it in perspective, if you're eating, let's say, McDonald's for dinner, you have your burger, you have your fries and everything, and that in itself has 2,000 calories.
Mm-hmm.
I eat 2,000 calories in a day, and it's way more food than that one cheeseburger and that one fry.
Yeah.
And she didn't realize that, you know, she was thinking to herself, I cannot eat this. This is too much food. I'm like, Ma, do you realize this is like 500 calories? This is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a lot of food because it's good food, you know, food that's going to keep you full longer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people fail. You know, it's thinking that they can just eat a salad and all day, every day, and thinking that that's what's going to help them lose weight. But that's not realistic. That's not a long-term thing that you can do every day. You're gonna get tired of it. You're gonna get bored of it, you know, and it's gonna get to a point where you're gonna be like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons why, you know, people fail.
Yeah.
Excellent information there, because food is fuel.
Yep.
And the better fuel you use, the better fuel economy you get.
Exactly.
There's a reason why you should keep your tank full in your car versus letting it get down to E and you put a few bucks in there and then you drive it and then you keep constantly refueling it, because you get better fuel efficiency when you keep your tank full with the right type of fuel.
Exactly.
So this is amazing information, and we are so glad to have you. We have a saying around here: the first time you're a guest, the second time you're family. So at this point, you're no longer a guest. We do look forward to having you guys with us, and there are so many amazing things that we are going to do together. We're excited to have you on the Tackle Obesity team as our teammates. This is a team effort. We all have to fight together in this battle against obesity, regardless of where you are or where you may be. We are all teammates in the journey against obesity, and we're looking forward to having you join us in tackling obesity. Make sure that you, first of all, check out Kevin and Val. Give them your Instagram handle or your social media. How can they contact you?
So our handle is foodies.stay.fit. So yeah, check us out on TikTok and Instagram.
Foodies.stay.fit.
Yes.
Foodies.stay.fit. Mm-hmm. I love the t-shirts, by the way. Kind of fit, kind of fat. That's hilarious.
That definitely describes us.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you have not done so, for those of you listening, subscribe to us. We're on every podcast platform on the planet Earth. And also make sure that you visit the Tackle Obesity website, tackleobesity.com. That's tackleobesity.com. You have the opportunity to be coached by an NFL alumni for free. All you have to do is sign up at tackleobesity.com. You don't have to pick me. You can pick one of the other coaches. We're there to help keep you on track and get you towards your goal. Again, we are working together as a team to tackle obesity. Thank you again for joining us today. My name is Coach Walker, and we are out. Have a great weekend. Let's